Hey, so this is the ridiculously late October Comic Bento review session. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first volume in this month's box, or that month's box rather, was Harbinger Volume 1, Omega Rising. It's rated T+, from Valiant, with script by Joshua Dysart and art by Kari Evans. Reprints Harbinger 1 through 5. It's 128 pages, $9.99 price on the volume. Original cover price for those issues would have been $20. I'm going to give it a 6.0, much like the other volume offerings that I've seen in the Bento box. It's it's a decent story. It's not awful, but there's so much of it that really just needs to be tied in with the other volume or the other series from Valiant that I just really wasn't able to get into it. Also, I just don't think that Valiant's characters are very easy to get into or to relate with, and so it's kind of hard for me to get into those in any capacity whatsoever. So just wasn't really keen on that one, but it is what it is. Moving on to the next issue that was included was Orchid. This is Volume 1. It's not rated. It is from Dark Horse. It was written by Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine fame, with art by Scott Hepburn. Reprints Orchid 1 through 4, 112 pages, $17.99 price on the volume. Original cover price would have only been $10. That first issue was actually a $1 offering. There does have included in this, though, free music, because there's a download for a soundtrack for each issue. So a total of 4 MP3 downloads from Tom Morello's website, which is something to be considered in that. I'm going to give it a 6.5. It was a decent enough story. There were definitely some stretches with the environmentalism that I wasn't real on board with. Melting polar ice caps is one thing, but suddenly having like mutant pig dinosaur things, whatever, is a completely different thing. Your opinion of this volume, I think, is going to be very colored by your politics and whether or not you agree with Tom Morello's politics, because they are very much on his sleeve at all times, and that comes through in the storytelling. So I kind of agree with some of this stuff and not others, but it was an interesting story. The fact that it only ran 12 issues as a whole means there's only 2 other collections out there to pick up. So something I might look for in future like bargain bin shopping, but it's not something I would actually seek out necessarily on its own, because the story kind of was a little bit rambling. But anytime I get a chance to get downloads for Tom Morello's music, it's great, because I just love his guitar work. It's just fantastic stuff that he does, both with Rage and on his own acoustic stuff as the Night Watchman. So that was definitely a nice bonus that wasn't even mentioned in the card for the Comic Bento box, but for someone who is a fan of his music, that was an awesome addition. Third volume in here was the Green Hornet, Volume 1, Bully Pulpit. It's rated T+, from Dynamite. This is one of the many Green Hornet books coming out from Dynamite, or at least it was at the time that it came out. Written by Mark Waid, with art by Daniel Indro and Ronilson Frere, maybe? Butchering that, I'm sure, but this reprints Green Hornet 1 through 6. It's 160 pages, $19.99 cover price, as is the usual for Dynamite stuff. Original cover price was $15.25, so not much of a value on the collection versus individual issues. In fact, you're paying more. However, I'm going to give it an 8.5, because like a lot of the other stuff that comes out of Dynamite, it's got some interesting stories. It's a well-made volume. Nice, binding. The UV coating on the cover is excellent as always. And really, anything that I get from Mark Waid is always quality stuff. The guy is a genius at times, and definitely an entertaining ride at others. So his best to worst is still at the upper end of the echelon. Love Mark Waid stuff. So that is definitely something that I would recommend picking up if you haven't already gotten it in the box. Last volume for the month was Captain Marvel, Volume 1, Higher, Further, Faster, More. It's rated T+, from Marvel, obviously. This is written by Kelly Sue DeConnick and with art by David Lopez. Reprints Captain Marvel 1 through 6, 136 pages, $17.99 price on the volume. Original cover price would be $24, so you do get some value out of buying the volume as opposed to having bought the original issues. I'm going to give this an 8.0. I really enjoyed this story. I'm sure that anybody who's already been reading this book, it's not a surprise that DeConnick is an excellent author. I've never read any of her stuff before this, so I had a little bit of a tough time getting into the first couple issues, but it picked up about midway and the ending was just excellent. Art was very solid throughout, so I enjoyed that quite a bit. Not sure I would keep this one, only because of the space considerations on my shelves and how much I'm going to keep and whether or not I would actually consider this a standalone or something that I would want to continue on. But it was definitely a great read. Loved having this in the box, and this is the kind of thing that I like having the comic Bento introduce me to. So total box value $66. It's about average for the Bento boxes overall, and I will be getting the November reviews up in just a little bit. Talk to you later.